You're one of the people who's affected. You don't understand what the strategy is, what their objective is.
Absolutely, I don't. Everyone I ask way smarter people than me, and they don't know.
In the simplest terms, a tariff is a tax on a small business.
I'm not going to say, I'm going to play hardball with China.
I suspect that we will probably have to switch suppliers.
I think it's still quite a mixed bag, and it's still a little too early to see.
Hi, well, it's Joe Kelly here with The Australian. I'm down in Chinatown and I'm trying to speak to business owners about the effect that the US tariffs on China have had. One of the important features to note about this part of town is that 98% of the businesses here in this community are small.
We were just destroyed. China was taking us for a ride and just not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
So for Manhattan, Chinatown, the small businesses here are already operating on thin margins, as well as they do serve a population, particularly the senior population, which is one of the largest demographics here. The seniors also live below the poverty line. So I think with a lot of business owners right now, they are grappling with how to handle the tariffs. Do they eat the cost? Do they pass through? If they are passing through the costs, there's almost like a level of guilt, as well as how do you message that? And will consumers continue to support these Chinatown businesses? For the business owners right now, as to whether or not they're absorbing the cost of the tariffs or passing it on, I think it's still quite a mixed bag, and it's still a little too early to see.
Think about it. We opened up our country to China. They have very few restrictions. And they didn't open their country to us. Never made sense to me. It's not fair.
The tariffs are a big uncertainty for us.
Like, does China pay the tariffs? Do the small businesses get hit with it? We pay them.
That's everything we serve on the plate. Every time we put food on the table, that's every ingredient, not just one of those ingredients. Every ingredient that we use went up 145%.
If the US truly wants to resolve issues through dialogue and negotiation, it should stop making threats and resorting to coercion.
So we're very lucky in that we import goods from Taiwan, so we're not actually subject to such a high tariff. Even 10% is a lot for us. I think one thing that people aren't talking about or thinking about are sort of the secondary effects of the volatility of the tariffs. So for example, the Taiwanese currency spiked because of this trade volatility, spiked 8%. So for us, that's actually kind of like an effective 18% tariff. The other thing that can happen is that if you bring your goods in and they're tariffed, you need to pay 30%, 40%, 100%, whatever. You need cash on hand to be able to retrieve those items from the warehouse, from customs. And so to get that cash, I would guarantee that no small business is sitting on 130% of their invoice value in cash. To get that, people may come and try to lend to you at a really high cost because you're desperate, or, kind of engage in predatory financial practices to try to, quote unquote, support these small businesses in their attempt to survive.
I'm one of the partners here at Potluck Club at Phoenix and our sister restaurant, Phoenix Palace. I started with 4 of my other best friends. We've been friends since we were little kids, 12, 13 years old, all born and raised here in Chinatown. We were watching our neighborhood change drastically. Chinatown in Manhattan is changing drastically. It's shrinking. The real estate is getting more expensive. We were very adamant about kind of building in our community stuff that may even be invisible on the dish, marinades, stuff that doesn't even get seen. All went up in the blink of an eye off of this administration's decision. So it's up, down, left, right, and you're at the mercy of that. For the most part, we're just kind of small business entrepreneurs, family businesses that are trying to take care of our family. We're not driving Ferraris and stuff like that, So we would like not to pass on the cost to our customer, but if everything goes up, how can we have a choice,
You're one of the people who's affected. You don't understand what the strategy is, what their objective is.
Absolutely, everyone I ask way smarter people than me, and they don't know. I'm watching CNN, and they're supposed to be the analytics master or whatever. They don't even know.
So we placed an order in November, and by the time it reached the US port in March, there was a 20% tariff tax on all of those goods. All total, that came out to about $15,000. If the order that we had placed in November had been delayed by even a month and a half, we would have been hit with a bill that was over $100,000. We don't know what it's going to be. And it doesn't matter what the tariff is when we place the order. Again, it's like when it hits that port is when it matters.
That's left a kind of a big question mark on what will happen to our supplies and whether or not we need to find new suppliers going forward. We've had inventory that's pre-tariffs, but going forward for next year, we don't know what's going to happen and what the case will be. We've tried our best to not pass on the cost to the customer. We've always tried to keep our ice cream affordable for everyone in the community or wherever we're established. We've been stocking up on inventory to kind of just take out some of the uncertainty going forward with what will happen with tariffs. So we're currently overstocked on most items at our central location.
You've operated this business here for 8 years. What have you picked up about the effect of the tariffs in the last few months?
There's certainly been a lot of talk and a lot of uncertainty about what will happen to people with shopper supermarkets for certain ingredients that they only can source from China. So those are all big major concerns for the community.
You know, my son is 4, almost 5. There may not be a Chinatown for him if my generation doesn't continue to build here. You know, a lot of places are closing. A lot of the youth are leaving. You know, Chinatown was built off of immigrants all believing in themselves and building within their community.